So here we have it, my 2016 BMW M4 competition. And in this video today, I'm gonna be talking about pretty much everything that has been done to it from a modification standpoint and my whole entire journey with this car. So this car has been a dream come true. It was my dream car ever since I was in high school. And this is my second year of ownership, which is pretty crazy. That's the longest time I've ever had a car. We're gonna talk about performance first. So all we have done to it is just a catless downpipe, a resonator delete or a mid-pipe install. And then we tuned it with boot mod stage 1. So this car originally comes with 444 horsepower because it is the competition model. But with the tune, it's hitting closer to around like 550-ish at the crank. So pretty conservative for the most part. Under the hood, it's pretty much bone stock. The only thing we did is just swap out the spark plugs to 2-step cooler ones, just for a little bit more reliability and to support the tune so it doesn't fry out. In terms of the aesthetics, obviously this car is looking kind of crazy. Even though this is a individual color car, which I'll show you later, it is wrapped over in a satin rose gold from Tech Wrap. The original color on here is Tanzanite blue, which is kind of like a midnight blue, a little metallic. We also have a carbon fiber front lip from Lapter. It's a very aggressive style lip and very low. And what I especially love is how these side flares come up, giving that kind of wide body look, if you will. Moving around, we of course have our competition wheels, which I've painted black. These are the 666Ms. These are 20 inches all around. I did switch out the mirror caps over here to real carbon fiber, but they are already starting to show its wear and tear. It's like peeling and whatnot, which, you know, that's just how carbon fiber is. In terms of the tints, we have 5% all around, 35 in the windshield. And moving on to the rear, we have this OEM competition carbon fiber spoiler lip over here. I really like it. I think it's called the M Performance one. The center portion I wrapped in carbon fiber, so it's not real. And then we have a carbon fiber diffuser on the bottom with the LED brake light. Forgot one more thing I did on here is a headlight delete. This is a carbon fiber cover on here. It's mainly designed for single turbo setups, but I don't have that done, so it's more so just for aesthetics. I want to show you guys the Tanzanite blue color on here. It's a little bit hard to see because it looks very just black. Of course, it extends all the way through into the gaps over here and between the doors. So we got the Silverstone interior, which is pretty much like this white color, which I especially love. That was exactly the spec that I wanted for, you know, this build. Of course, we have the extended leather all the way around the dash and the door cards, and it is a 6-speed manual transmission, which is super cool. This is my first ever manual car, and I had to learn how to drive manual by myself in this car. The roof lining, I got this done custom by one of my friends. He did the starlights in here, but other than that, this car is pretty much just very OEM for the most part. So, the F82 BMW M4 competition, what a joy it is to drive this car. Over the past 2 years that I've been driving this thing, I gotta say that every single time it puts a smile on my face. It drives incredibly well, and with it being a manual transmission, it just creates a lot of driver engagement. This is my first ever manual car, and I never had one before. And even when I learned how to drive manual, it was all within this car. So there's a lot of memories with this car, a lot of, learning how to drive in this car. And I gotta say, I never really understood the hype behind manual cars until I finally got to drive one. With that being said, this car also has a whole bunch of power. It is currently tuned with boot mod stage 1. We also have a catless downpipe and a resonator delete, which I've done with a mid-pipe, as well as upgraded spark plugs. So a pretty conservative setup, and we're pushing closer to around 550 horsepower at the crank. To the wheel, I gotta say it's somewhere closer to around 500 flat or so. And with a couple more bolt-ons, I can always push this thing to stage 2 to get up to like 600 horsepower. There's an endless amount of opportunity with this car in terms of the power gains. People have even, upgraded the turbos to hit like 1,000 horsepower. But even with the stage 1 tune, it's already struggling to put the power down to the rear wheels. It's constantly spinning and just losing traction.
and that also has to do with the fact that my tires on here are extremely worn out. We're currently running the 265s on the front, and then on the rear we have 285s. The OEM ones were 275. I've seen a lot of people actually put 305s on their car to really help with that traction, but even so, these cars are known to be very slippery, which also kind of adds to the whole fun aspect. In terms of the handling, with it being the competition model, the suspension tuning is a little bit more stiffer, a little bit more sharper. And I forgot to mention that we are actually lowered on H&R lowering springs, so we're literally like portions of inches off the ground right now. Even when it comes to the weight of the steering wheel, they actually increased it for the competition models. And it does come with, 3 modes of adjustability for pretty much everything: your suspension dampening, your drivetrain, your steering, and all that. And if you are in a Sport Plus mode, I gotta say the steering weight is really heavy. You gotta put a lot of effort into it. It's kind of similar to the E90 BMWs where they use hydraulic steering, where the steering just feels really heavy. And I kind of like that, it kind of adds to the whole stability aspect where if you sneeze, the car's not gonna go sideways. Now with every pro, there is a con. And I gotta say that this car, as great as it is from a performance standpoint, it's not the best car when it comes to the street. Like I live in New York, so the roads are already bad enough. Let alone this car doesn't have that much space. If I gotta carry a lot of stuff with me, I gotta pretty much cram it in here. Of course, we can't really fit any passengers, even though we have rear seats. They're honestly just a joke. They're smaller than, airplane seats. It's very much so just car, and that's kind of the whole purpose of it. It's just a car for performance sake. It's not really meant to be a practical vehicle. And everywhere I go, I'm always feeling anxious about, something breaking, or, because I'm so low, I'm gonna like destroy my lip and whatnot. And every little thing on this car is also extremely expensive. If my lip goes, that's about a $1,000 lip right there. And also being a manual transmission car, it just does make it a little bit more hectic to drive. But honestly, a lot of the pros tend to outweigh the cons when it comes to the overall driving experience.
As much as I love this car and as special as it is to me, unfortunately, I have some bad news. I'm selling this thing. I know, it sucks. I love this car, but unfortunately, I will not be keeping it anymore. This is like one of the last days that I will be having it. And over the next few days, I will be pretty much turning it back to full stock to sell it. And I'm gonna be selling all the aftermarket parts. But yeah, guys, the journey has come to an end. And I will be making a separate video talking a little bit more deeply as to why I'm selling my dream car. I had a lot of memories with this thing for the past 2 years. I never had a real issue with it. This car has been very reliable for the most part. At least we can appreciate, what it was for the time being.